Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Friday edition of Pod Up. Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We have made it to Friday, conference tournament week, and we're going to be joining the second half of our show today by Frank Frangie out of Jacksonville, the voice of the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're going to talk about Urban Meyer's big press conference he had the other day. We're going to talk Gators, basketball, and football, and we're going to also talk a little TPC with Frank, see what's going on over in the Jacksonville area. But in the meantime, we're going to head to JC's kitchen. Good morning, JC. How are you?
Well, I wish I was at the golf course with you, of course. You're looking good there. It's a beautiful day in Jacksonville.
Yes,
we're going to have a tremendous tournament this week up there because there will be no rain. The greens will get harder, and if there's any wind, we could have some real fireworks this weekend. So I'm really excited about watching this tournament this weekend and even today as these guys try to navigate through that course. And one guy who's done it as well as anybody here recently is the guy who's leading right now, and somebody that you and I didn't even think about picking because we didn't look at his numbers. The former champion of 2008, Sergio Garcia, who has made 16 consecutive cuts and has his 25th career round in the 60s, scoring in the 60s, which is the most of any player all time at this venue. 25 rounds in the 60s.
Yeah. Well, before we get to that, Rick on Facebook Live has a comment here brought to you by Meldon Law. Let me read it before it evaporates here. So, JC, you made fun of my picks. Well, at the end of it went away. Okay, I got to find the damn thing.
Well, what was it? What did he say?
I'm going to read it. I got to find it. Only so many show up on my screen here, and then they go away. So I need my producer to pop it back up there.
Your technical issues.
Okay, I got my producer coming in.
Good heavens.
You know, JC, did you know my producer can like hack into my computer and fix things when he's not even here?
He owns you, QB. He owns your computer. He does.
So I have him pulling up. I got to read Rick's comment because it's great. It's great.
Oh, is it great? Is it really great?
Okay, so here it is.
Right.
Here it is. So, JC, you made fun of my picks. Well, at the end of yesterday, Westwood leads both of yours and Shane's 3 picks.
Oh, he picked Westwood, huh? Okay.
Where did it go? Evan, get out of the way.
I don't mind. I don't mind seeing Westwood do well.
Okay.
I really don't.
Okay.
I like
Hang on a second. That I haven't read the whole thing because it will not. Here it is. Okay.
Oh my
He
goodness.
says Cantlay. My third pick is tied with your first pick, Burger, and my first pick, Grimm, is tied with 2 of Shane's picks. Your pick, Day, trails Westwood by 1, but is miles ahead of English. So here's Rick. Rick, we know Rick doesn't follow golf very much. Rick, there's a lot of golf left.
Yeah, Rick.
Excited after day 1.
Congratulations, Rick. You've won the first round. Let me know what they pay you for that first round, Rick. That's a good one. Good for you,
indeed.
Rick.
Okay, before we talk more golf, I got to get my I don't like the way these things are popping up here. So I got to go back to this screen and see if we can get them working here. Okay. All right. So, JC, Gators yesterday in basketball. Did you get to see any of the game?
I did. I watched some of that. 12-point lead in the first half. Looked good. But then, and they ended on an 8-0 run. But then here comes Vanderbilt with three consecutive three-pointers from your guy, Trey Thomas. And Scottie Pippen's filling it up. And next thing you know, they go on an 11-0 run and actually take the lead in the second half. So Florida withstood a run. That was nice. Trey Mann is clearly the best player right now. His shooting consistency is so far higher than it's been in the past. And he's definitely Florida's most valuable player. And it was good to see Noah Locke contribute 13 and Appleby contribute 12. So the guards had a good game. 47% field goal percentage, and they scored 34 points in the paint. So that was the reason they won. And Trey Mann is now back, feeling better, and he gets Tennessee today. And that's a team that when he played against Tennessee in Gainesville, they were able to win 75-49. They won by 26 points. So without him in Knoxville, they lose. So today's rubber match, if you will, is really setting up to be interesting, I think, with Tennessee.
Yeah, John says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Trey Mann would not allow the Gators to lose. He was awesome. He's clearly the best player. I mean, enjoy him while you can because he's gone after this year. JC, watching the SEC, other tournaments, anything surprise you? I mean, there are really no surprises out of the SEC tournament. Pretty much chalk all one.
Yeah, and these teams. Although I don't know why, but somewhat a little surprised that Mississippi State held on to beat Kentucky, because that run that Kentucky made in the second half made me feel like they were going to win that game. But Mississippi State pulled it out. Yeah. Speaking
of the Wildcats, how about this stat? This is the first time in the history of the SEC tournament that the Kentucky Wildcats will not make the quarterfinals.
Yeah, and they will not make the postseason at all. So it's over. Their year's done. John Calipari made more money in millions than they won in games this year. Now, think about that stat. So
say that one more time.
John Calipari won more money per million than they won games this year. So you look at how many games they won, I don't know, 13 or something. Cal made more money per game, per million per game.
I don't think they won 13 games.
Well, whatever it was, he made. I don't think they had. I
don't think they won in. I don't think they had double digit in wins. I could be wrong.
No, it was a bad team, and it's just not one of their years. But I think they're coming back. They'll be back. So, but Mississippi State, good for them. They're basically playing for their life. They play Alabama today. They have played Alabama tough in the previous two games that they played against Alabama. So it's a pretty good matchup for them. Alabama will then, if they can beat Mississippi State, play the winner of Florida and Tennessee. So the tournament's progressing right along, and now we get to see some of the teams that got 2 days off get out there on the court and see what they can do. But I like Florida's chances with Trey Mann against Tennessee. For some reason, I think Florida does well against Tennessee, even though that second half in Knoxville didn't go well. They didn't have their best player on the court. So it's no surprise that they wouldn't win that game. But now none of those games matter that they've played in the past in Florida. If they can get that shooting percentage up there near 50%, we'll have a great chance to win this game.
Yeah, Robbie says on Facebook Live, we have to stop the turnovers. The last 4 minutes were terrible. Look, we are who we are, Robbie. I mean, the season's almost over. We don't have a point guard, a true point guard. We're going to turn the ball over. So if you're expecting us to not turn it over, you need to watch another team, because that's just what we do. It's just who we are, and you just got to overcome it. But if we can eliminate just a few turnovers, we'll be okay.
That's what I think he's saying, and I hope
JC,
that happens. Yeah.
So last night I get home pretty late, and for some reason I turn the TV on, and it's on the Big Ten network. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm watching as I'm eating. Indiana is playing. Who is Indiana playing?
Indiana. They had the. Let me see. Michigan play. Let's see. No, I'm sorry. Indiana was playing. I'll tell you here in just a second. Let's see. Michigan.
Rutgers Knights. Okay. Yep. So I'm not really paying. I'm doing a bunch of stuff, eating, and not really paying attention. These fans, because they're allowing fans in these conference tournaments, are booing the hell out of the Indiana Hoosiers, because it's Indianapolis, right?
I know. Yeah.
They go, JC. They go 9.5 minutes without scoring a point. How is that possible in basketball?
Yeah, that's a great question. And 50 points against Rutgers, I don't know if we're going to see Indiana on the court again this year either. And it's just because, the fans of these programs like Kentucky and Indiana, they still think that just because of what happened 30 years ago, 25 years ago, 20, whatever, that they are entitled to expect their teams to be up there with the good teams. Creighton is a school out of Omaha, Nebraska, that I would bet, not knowing the answer, that has played better in the last 20, 25 years than Indiana has. And
easily.
Yeah, so you have a school the size of my backyard in Omaha, Nebraska, that is better than one of these blue bloods. And the fans just don't understand that just because it says Indiana, or in this case, Kentucky this year, that just entitles you to expect, or Duke or North Carolina, that entitles you to expect your team to be in the Sweet 16 or a high seed in the tournament. And it just doesn't, because of all of the all of the better teams and the parity of college basketball. I didn't see Illinois this year being a great team, but if I had looked hard at their roster, maybe I would have thought they would. But it's just one of those things where I think fans have these unrealistic expectations of their teams because of what happened 2 decades ago or 3 decades ago.
Well, Kentucky's a different.
And look at UCLA.
You can't compare Kentucky to Indiana because Kentucky's been relevant. Indiana ain't been relevant.
Right. So, a better example would be UCLA. And, a school like that, where in the past we've seen greatness and now it's just mediocrity, and it has been consistent mediocrity. So that Georgetown, they haven't been very good here in how long? How long has it been?
Well, they upset Villanova yesterday.
Well, they did, but I mean, they haven't been really a factor.
So sticking with the Big Ten real quick. So for whatever reason, I started flipping back. I think it was the Ole Miss South Carolina game. It was kind of boring. Ole Miss has a chance to work their way in there now. And
I told you about Ole Miss. Somebody told you about watch out for Mississippi.
Who?
This guy.
Well,
said,
JC,
give me
everybody in America knows that Ole Miss has been on the bubble for the last month.
Yeah, but you asked
win a game,
sleepers.
lose a game, win a game, lose a game, and they're still.
You
right
wanted
there.
a sleeper. You got a sleeper.
No, the sleeper is it could be Missouri, but anyway. So I'm flipping back and forth because they're both blowouts. However, with 5 minutes to go, the Wisconsin Badgers are up 18 points against Penn State. I flip back over, watch a little bit of Ole Miss, flip back. It's a 2-point game with 30 seconds to go.
Tournament basketball,
I just,
brother.
Here's the thing. And I was out of town yesterday talking to some people, and it's amazing to me. And I've talked about it many times on our show, people's perception of Florida basketball and Mike White. Guys, we're in the tournament. We are in the tournament. We are playing today, and who knows what we can do? It's all about matchups. Let's wait and see. Somebody said a few minutes ago, if we win today, do we jump to the 7 line? Which we could. We lose. Here's the thing. We got to get out of that 8-9 game somehow. Somehow. It'd be great to know if you lose today, Gators, you're definitely not going to be 8-9. If you win today, you definitely aren't going to be 8-9. So if we knew what was going to happen, it would be great because you don't want to be in the 8-9 game. But
you just said that they won't be in the 8-9 win or lose, right?
No, I'm saying if we knew from what the committee was thinking. You see what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I think, yeah.
I'm basically saying we want to do whatever we can possibly do to not be an 8 or 9 seed.
Yes,
so
correct.
If the committee could call and say, hey, if y'all lose today or you win today, you're not going to be in an 8-9 game.
Right. Well, let's just win. I think winning means that the chances of that happening are greater. They could be a 9. If they lose today, why couldn't they be a 9?
They could. John says here on Facebook Live from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, this is great. I don't know if you saw the interview. Madison Square Garden Security didn't know who Patrick Ewing was, and they kept asking him for credentials. Did you see that, JC?
No, but that makes me laugh.
You got to pull it up on Twitter and look at his interview. Because he's like, these people didn't know who I was. I got my jersey hanging in the rafters. This is my house.
Yeah, and he's only 7 foot tall. So I mean, how many 7-footers come rolling through your security checkpoint often? It's embarrassing. It really is. But that is funny.
No, I mean, you think about it. The people probably working security at Madison Square Garden.
They're young.
An hourly employee.
That's right. They don't know.
Who is probably 24 years old that has no clue. Hey, because here's a prime example. I coached high school football for a long time. Yeah. And I'd ask people if they don't know who Emmitt Smith was. They had no idea, never even heard of him.
Some don't even know who Steve Spurrier is.
Correct.
Yeah. So, that's fine. And I get it. But Patrick Ewing, man, I mean, come on, 7-foot guy comes rolling through there.
Well, there's a bunch of 7-footers rolling through at a basketball arena.
Okay.
In the in the back hallways. JC, we got a text here.
Okay.
And since we had the tape yesterday's show, Ryan put in his golf picks for the tournament. He has Cameron Morikawa and John Rahm 17 over the winning score.
How did Gino do? Gino.
I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at all that.
I can tell you how
looking
Gino
at the text.
Okay, go ahead.
Ryan says, "Happy Friday, gents." Shane, I don't have Facebook, but by the way, do you describe some of JC's outfits? I thought he might head up to Ponte Vedra and caddy for Lee Westwood this weekend. Although that would be harder to look at than Westwood's white. And the Dukies should be called the Yellow Bellies after cowardly avoiding an ass whipping from FSU and blaming it on COVID. Very, very weak.
Well, a lot of this COVID cancellations in the ACC have definitely been a factor. Football, I still think about that. But let me say this about one of our loyal viewers, Gino, who had the Rory McIlroy pick. Rory
7 over.
Roy shoots a 79. That ties for the worst first round from a defending champ at the Players in history. All right. So that pick, this guy, he's hitting it both ways. He doesn't know what's going on and certainly has had bad 2 weeks down here in Florida. Jordan Spieth, how about 12 out of 14 fairways? First time he's really driven it well at this course. His driving stats have gotten dramatically better, and that's going to keep him around if he can keep that ball in the fairway. And 17 players hit the water on 17. 17 players hit the water on 17. 35 balls got rinsed. And one of your all-time favorite golfers from South Korea, Byung-Hun An, hit it 4 times in the water to card an 11.
Yeah, Bill Mickelson's done that before for sure. Bill says on Facebook Live, have y'all talked Duke? If they were 20-2, would they have called it off? Not to be insensitive. No, they wouldn't. Duke has not wanted to play all year because of, and Coach K, whatever you want to say, has used that as an excuse. They are not a very good basketball team.
Not a good football team either.
No, they stink at that as well. They're good in lacrosse usually.
Well, yeah. I mean, Kentucky, Duke, Indiana, not the kind of years they want to think about. And
I think it's great. I think it's great that Duke's not in the tournament.
I know you don't like
on the
Duke.
Titan our text line. Good morning, guys. Gosh, we have got to rebound. We have got to win the rebound battle today against Tennessee. Thanks, Daryl. No, there's no question. We have to. We got to rebound the basketball and not turn it over. We're going to turn it over.
That's
we just can't turn it over a lot. But today should be a fun day. As you said, Alabama, the 1 seed. A lot of people, when I was flipping through the channels, think Mississippi State's going to beat Alabama today.
Well, I've said this numerous times. They match up for whatever reason very well. They're a very large team, Mississippi State.
They're the biggest team in the SEC.
Right. So they're athletic, but Alabama has the SEC Player of the Year. Alabama has the best record, and Alabama has the most, the highest seeding right now in the NCAA tournament as a projection. But that doesn't mean they're going to beat Mississippi State. But they have beaten them twice already. It's hard to beat somebody 3 times if it matches up well with you. So I expect it to be a close game. I do. I think it will be close, 6 points either way.
Yeah, I'm anxious to watch Arkansas and Missouri. I think that's going to be a heck of a game.
Could be a really good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Dan says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melvin Law, SEC softball versus Kentucky today. Yep. We crank up SEC play in softball starting this weekend. I believe baseball starts next weekend in SEC play against A&M. A lot of stuff going on.
Who does Mississippi play today, QB?
Ole Miss plays. Gosh, I should know this. They play
LSU?
Yes.
LSU.
Yes. Ole Miss LSU.
I like that matchup too. Today's going to be, if you like basketball and you want to go on a marathon basketball tour, today is your day. And then you've got golf. But when you have weather like this outside, man, I'm going to be catching some highlights, it looks like. So
we got some great viewers here that give me great stats. First of all, I got to read this Facebook Live brought to you by Melvin Law. JB says, Coach K is terrible and Mike White is great. Pretty hot take there. John says, the last time Duke and Kentucky didn't make the tournament was in 1976. That was also the last year we saw an undefeated team. So now it's Gonzaga's turn. Who was that undefeated team? Was that Indiana in 1976?
Yep, Bobby Knight. And, Scott May, Isaiah Thomas. I mean, those teams, again, people in Indiana are holding on to that, but that was a very, very long time ago. So, yeah, I mean, that was the last one to do it. Kent Benson. I remember quite well. I remember that Indiana team. They won in St. Louis at the Final Four. I think they beat Kentucky. or Duke, one of those two, to finish it out. But it was a great team, but that team is far gone right now. And the Indiana's program is nothing compared to what it used to be. So that's the thing that these fans have a problem with, because Indiana is basketball country. You know that, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Basketball.
No
but
question.
like I said before, Creighton in the last 20 some odd years has been better than Indiana. And I just want to circle back to the golf for a minute if we could, because I know basketball is cranking up its tournament time. It's great, but this tournament up there in Jacksonville has really the potential to be really fun to watch if you want to see guys struggle, because I think the greens are just going to get harder and harder to play and land the ball on. That's the problem with 17 yesterday. It was landing the ball was an issue because it just kept rolling wherever it hit. And it's not going to get easier. And if the wind starts blowing, man, I'm telling you, if you like to see these pros really have to work for it, this is what I think you're going to see this weekend.
JB also says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mental Law from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, this could be the Big Ten's best season in any sport in a long time, which isn't saying that much. JB, if you listen to our show, I gave out a great stat. In the last 20-something years, the Big Ten, who claims to be great at everything, has won 3 national titles in football or basketball. Ohio State won 2 footballs
in the last
20-something years.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you got to qualify that. Yeah.
Last 21 years, 22 years?
Something like that. 2 decades. Yeah.
Last 22 years, they've won 3 national titles in the 2 major sports. 2 Ohio State footballs, 1 Michigan State. Whereas the SEC has a ton in football and basketball.
Yeah, you've got Kentucky. Florida's won 2 basketball championships. Kentucky has won 1. Or did they win 2? Calipari and Tubby
I don't know.
Smith.
I'm sure they won multiple.
It's 2.
We got multiple tons of footballs. So.
Oh well, of course. Yeah. I mean it's just a different level down here on the football thing. But they want to believe what they want to believe up there, and that's fine. Who cares? I mean, just look at the numbers. Look at the results. Results mean the truth. The results are the truth, right? So. Just go back to the results. You can argue all you want with somebody in Ohio or Michigan, but the results tell you everything you need to know.
At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today, 352-244-0840. We're speaking with JC on the Titan MR hotline. We're going to be joined by Frank Frangie, voice of the Jaguars, talking Gators, Jags, and TPC in the second portion. But first, let's get to our This Day in Sports, brought to you by Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. This month, get a free annual maintenance plan with every residential duct cleaning purchased, $199 value. Service department is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for your convenience. This Day in Sports, back in 2020, JC, which was last year.
Okay.
The NCAA basketball tournament was canceled on this day due to COVID-19.
Yeah. It was a brutal month last year at this time. Such a difference a year makes, right?
Yeah, it was great. Like I told you, because you got to remember the Big Ten has not had any fans at their arenas except for moms and dads.
Right.
And it was great. Here, I can't tell you how loud. It's probably 15 to 1,800 people in the arena wherever they're playing. I think they play where the Pacers play, but they were booing the hell out of the Indiana Hoosiers. So I'm thinking today. I'm thinking today or tomorrow, Archie Miller gets fired.
Yeah, it's a problem. I mean, it's a problem when these kids are just college dudes trying to get through it, and the fans are just all over them. It was actually kind of. I don't know. I don't know if I can laugh about that, because I feel bad for those kids, but they do. They play miserable basketball up there. So that's you got to. Who's the guy that all that falls on is the coach. It always does.
Yeah, and Dan says here, picking on the Big Ten a little bit. He says, throwing a baseball and a softball, they're even worse in the Big Ten.
The
only good softball, I think Michigan's usually pretty good every year.
Michigan, yes, that is a good point. Yeah, Michigan for some reason, whatever it is, but that we know why that is. I mean, the weather's not good up there. You don't get to play as much of that sport when you're up that way. You can't play baseball 10 months, 11 months, 12 months out of the year like you can down here. Same with softball. You just can't do it up there.
Yeah, Gators are still having spring football practice. Other SEC teams are cranking it up. that's kind of taking a back burner right now with conference tournaments and March Madness and all that good stuff. So, there's a lot of good college basketball games today, especially in the Big 12 and the Big 10. Purdue, which kind of is flying under the radar, JC, in the Big 10.
Yeah, they are.
They got like a double bye. They play Ohio State today. So if you love college basketball, today's your day.
That's a great day. Yeah. How about this one? Florida State and North Carolina. FSU's only a 2-point favorite in that game because Carolina's been playing better. I think that'll be a good game to watch. I also think you're going to see a close game between Oklahoma State and Baylor. That's in the Big 12. And Georgia Tech, for whatever reason, is trying to play itself into this tournament, and they've been playing good basketball. They're only a 4-point underdog to the Virginia Cavaliers. And then we have Iowa and Wisconsin. That'll be a good game. I think Texas and Kansas has the potential of being a really good game to watch. Colorado and USC out in the Pac-12 should be a pretty good game. But, you're right. This is an exciting day in hoops, and the weekend will just make it better. But Oklahoma State, Baylor, and FSU, North Carolina are two I'm going to have my eye on today.
All right. Well, JC, hit them straight today.
All right. You too.
We'll come back and we'll recap Monday who had the better golfers over in Jacks. Our golfers need to step up. They're not playing great right now.
Well, I got Day at 2 under. You got two guys at 1 under. That by no means they're out of it. But Sergio is tough on this course. He's really good on this course. So I'll be curious to see how he backs it up from yesterday. Again, he's had more rounds in the 60s than anybody on that course. So we'll see how it goes.
With all your research you do, you made a huge mistake not picking him.
And that's the fact. If we had picked him on Friday like we were doing earlier, I would have picked him. How about that?
Well, obviously you would because he's got, like a 4-shot lead. Anyway, all right, JC, we got to get to Frank Frangie. Have a good weekend, my man.
Sounds good. All right, you too.
Well, we're going to take our first time out of the program. When we come back, we'll be joined by the voice of the Jacksonville Jaguars, talking a little Gators, a little Jags, and a little TPC with our man Frank Frangie. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Chomp Harder Apparel, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to this Friday edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Point is where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Dave & Buster's, Nike, Sushi Hana, Uzzaline Day Spa, and coming June of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. We're now going to go to the Titan MR hotline, and we're going to be joined by the voice of the Jacksonville Jaguars, our good friend Frank Frangie. Good morning, Frank. How are you?
Shane, I'm doing well. How are you? How's everything in Gainesville?
Everything's great. Frank, you heard me talk about the Spurrier's Gridiron Grill.
Yeah.
You're going to be blown away, my man. It's unbelievable.
Everybody talks about it. I haven't been to Gainesville so long. Shame on me. I was telling Scott Strickland this not long ago that ever since I started going Jags games, I've been to one Gator game. I should be excommunicated from Gator Nation. I really should. It's awful. But that's going to bring me back. I've heard what you just said, Shane, all about it. It's supposed to be fantastic. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's hard to explain. Frank, I want to talk 3 things with you today. Gator basketball, obviously Urban in his press conference he had the other day with about the Jags, and then a little TPC. Let's start with Gator basketball.
Sure.
I follow you on Twitter. If you want to follow Frank, he's great on Twitter at Frank_Frangie. They are who they are. They don't have a point guard. It's basically not having a legitimate quarterback is what it is.
Right.
But if Trey Mann is on the floor, you got a chance to win games.
Oh, I don't think there's any question. I think he's an NBA player. When he gets more physical, like that body fills out a little bit more, I think he's going to be I think he'll be a starter in the NBA. I don't know if he'll be a star, but I think he'll be a starter, Shane, in the NBA. I think he's a really good player. That they are who they are. They're going to be up some games, down some games. They've got to play. They've got to make threes. We're in that era, by the way. We're in the era where you got to make threes. I don't care who you are, you got to make threes. And they've got to shoot the ball well. It's weird, man. All year long, when you thought they turned the corner, big win, they come home and lose to South Carolina. They win at Kentucky. I know Kentucky's not great, but it's Florida winning at Kentucky. They've only done it 11 times ever. That's a big win. They come home and lose to Missouri and lose 2 in a row. Every time you feel like they've kind of found it, they unfind it. It's a weird team. And look, it's been a hard year, man. But they went through with Keontae Johnson. They missed 3 games before that with COVID. Then the Keontae stuff, they missed 4 games. Then they come back. Then Scotty Lewis misses some games. Then there's another pause. He's done a good job. It's a hard year for those guys. It really is. But it's from a fan standpoint, probably from his standpoint, it's been a frustrating year. I'm still not sure who they are. They're probably a 6 or 7 or a 7 or 8 seed. They're probably a win a game in the tournament and then see what happens. I think that's who they are.
Yeah, it's all about matchups. And you host your show, the Frank Frangie Show, every day over there in Jackson. I was over there a couple of weeks ago and listening to the show as I was driving home. And you had a stat on there, and I'm probably going to butcher this. And I've talked about it on my show, because you get the calls, Mike White needs to be fired, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But he's a pretty good coach. People just don't realize what they have. I want to say you said there's 9 head coaches in college basketball that have taken their team to 4 consecutive tournaments. This will be the 5th. And he is one of those guys. And I think people take that for granted.
Yeah, and I don't have all the names in front of me, and I think last year would have been, because last year they would have been, okay? So the names are, and Coach K, by the way, will come off that list this year because they're not going. But it's
Calipari.
Calipari, Coach K, Izzo, Jay Wright. If you saw the list, it is the who's who of college basketball. Coach Bill Self. It's the best coaches in college basketball. What happened is, and you live there, Shane. You see it closer than I do. It always happens. When you have a generational coach for the ages like Billy Donovan, it's going to be hard for the next guy. And if the next guy is anything less than that, it's going to be tough. Now, with Mike White, I'm sure they're all asking, Mike too, what is it going to take to get to that next step? Remember, FSU missed the tournament 6 years in a row, before Leonard Hamilton started going on a regular basis. So are Florida people patient? I'm a Mike White guy. I think he's a good coach. I really do. But are Florida people patient? Or do they get stuck in this? We're 6 to 8. We're a 6 seed or a 7 seed or an 8 seed, which means if you're an 8 seed, you're one and done because you got the 1 seed in the second game. I'd rather see them be a 10 than a 9 this year, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
because those 4 1s are good. So but that's who they are. So, but I'm with you. He's done a good job, way better than he's been given credit for. I'm a strong believer in that.
Yeah, I think he's a really good coach, and like you said, you're very good friends with Ron Zook. He followed the wrong guy. He's a pretty good coach.
If you think about it, Zook's record in the SEC. He was 6-2, and then had the 4-4 year and was fired. This is a guy that went into, and Jeremy and I have talked about this. Jeremy's a great friend of mine, and Jeremy was caught and wasn't sure what to do, and I get that. But Ron Zook was 12-4 in the SEC in his first 2 years, and went into the 3rd year on the hot seat. So, but yeah, you know what? Bottom line is, in my opinion, if they're patient with Mike White, they'll turn the corner. They'll be you got to get to a Final Four. He's been to an Elite 8. He was 1 step from a Final Four when Melvin Notice from South Carolina had about an 8-step layup at Madison Square Garden, or Florida would have been in the Final Four. So I think he's done a nice job.
Last thing about basketball, big dance starts next week. Who's Frank Frangie got in his Final Four? I know we haven't seen the brackets, but who do you think is going to cut down the nets?
Here's what I'll tell you. I finally watched Gonzaga. They look like an NBA team. Gonzaga has they have all the pieces. Suggs, that point guard, is so good. Nembhard helps them. He doesn't start, but he helps them. They look like an NBA team. So I can't imagine anybody beating them. So I think, and again, I hate to take all the chalk, but Gonzaga and Baylor, those two teams are going to be there. I really like FSU's team. I think the FSU fans are all upset because they've lost 2 in a row. I compare them to the second Florida National Championship team. Florida won it all in 06, shocked the world. Then they all came back, right? The 04s all came back. If you remember, Shane, the second year Florida won the whole thing, they lost 3 of their last 4 regular season games. They lost to LSU, do you remember this? They lost to LSU, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt. 3 of the last 4 games, we all thought, well, they've lost their edge. They've lost their toughness. Got in the tournament, went on a run. So I really like their team. The other team I think is probably the best of all of them is probably Illinois. I think Illinois is better than Michigan. Illinois rolled Michigan. So if you ask me to pick 4, it's going to be a lot of chalk. But there's 3 number 1s. I think Illinois is going to be number 1. So I think it's probably going to be Gonzaga, Baylor, and Illinois. FSU, I think, is going to go in as a 4, maybe a 3, but probably a 4. They'd be about the Final Four team. I think FSU is really good.
Yeah, I do too. So back in was it 07 when Gators lost those 4 straight, were people calling to fire Billy Donovan on your show?
See, I don't think Billy Donovan was getting fired, but I do remember like, oh, they're no good anymore. I can't believe this. They're blowing all these games. How did they lose the Vanderbilt? How did they lose all these teams? And they get in the tournament and they roll everybody. But I distinctly remember thinking, what has happened to this national championship team that lost 3 of their last 4 games? It happens. That's what happens.
Refresh your vehicle and your brand with a vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. March is your lucky month at Wrap Spot. Mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. Speaking with Frank Frangie here on the Titan MR Hotline from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. All right, Frank, voice of the Jags. We just got a Facebook Live question here brought to you by Mellow Law. Wants to know how are ticket sales going over there? I'm sure they're selling them like crazy, right?
Off the chart. They're off the chart for a myriad of reasons. Number one, Urban Meyer's here. And they're going to get Trevor Lawrence. And I think at least that's what everybody believes. I'm told that every ticket they've made available when it first happened is pretty much gone. Now they'll have different waves of ticket sales. First they sell these seats, then the next seats, but it's off the chart. They're going to sell a lot of tickets. And when all the buzz that they might get Urban happened, Shane, they started selling tickets. Then when they got him, it happened again. Well, now that they have the first pick, we saw that buzz, right? Well, even though they're probably getting Trevor Lawrence, the day that draft comes and he's on that podium, if they have a podium this year, however they do it this year, there'll be another wave. They will sell a lot of tickets this year. I would be surprised if the first game, whoever that's against, isn't sold out. And I would be surprised if all the season tickets aren't sold out. It's been a long time, man. There's been one winning season here in the last 12, right? There's a buzz around here for the first time in a while.
A lot of excitement. I know Urban had a press conference. I guess it was last week. I heard that it was a really good press conference. He went in depth about the roster. Can you just kind of give us a brief synopsis of what he said?
Yeah, you know what's kind of cool about him, Shane? What I loved about Steve Spurrier at Florida is he said the truth. He wasn't afraid. Coaches are afraid to say, they're not sure what they're supposed to say. If I say too much, am I breaking a rule? If I say too much, am I giving somebody else an advantage? Am I putting myself in a position where I'm backing myself into a corner because I shouldn't have said this? Spurrier didn't care when he was at Florida. Urban wasn't quite like that at Florida, but he's like that now. He said, look, he talked all about it. He said, I've got a bunch of cap room. We've got no state income tax, so free agents are going to want to come here. We all know that, but no coaches ever say it. He talked about the areas where they got to get better. Look, they got to get a quarterback that's going to be Trevor Lawrence. He likes their offensive line. They just franchised Cam Robinson. I've been screaming into the mic, that's what they should do. I would keep my line together. They have too many other needs. They got to get faster at receiver. They've got 2 possession-type physical receivers, charged pretty fast. They got to get faster there. He talked about it. They've got to get better on the defensive line. I think you're going to see him sign 2 free agent defensive linemen, Shane. That's the word I hear. And they got to get better in the secondary. He talked about specific players. So he was very detailed and transparent. I think that's what everybody liked about it. Again, we all know what coaches know and what they're not going to really show their hand. He wasn't afraid of showing his hand. Look, he's got all the cap room. He's got the first pick. Why not say what you're going to do? We all kind of know, and that's how he's played it. I'm glad he did. It was a great press conference.
Yeah, and I think I saw somewhere where if I'm a tight end on the team, I don't feel real comfortable that I'm going to be a Jaguar, right? He said we need to reshuffle the entire tight end room.
Rebuild.
Right?
He said we got to rebuild the room. Well, there's nobody in the room. I mean, they don't re-sign Tyler Eifert. They got Ellison and O'Shaughnessy, and they got, look, they're guys, and they're good blockers, and they're a good third tight end. if you're in 3.5 yard, and in the NFL that means 3 or 4 tight ends, they got some of those guys, but they don't have anybody to go down the field. So yeah, I think they're probably going to sign Hunter Henry or Jonnu Smith. Maybe the day free agency starts, Shane, I think there's no question they're gonna strike there. They're probably going to draft one too. That's a room you got to rebuild. Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't feel very good either if I was Jags tight end. There's not very many of them in the field back. There's nobody there, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Dan says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melton Law, any chance the Jags sign the Kansas City, I guess it's Eric Fisher that they released?
Yeah, I would be a little surprised. They just franchised Cam Robinson. Once you franchise the guy, you pretty much have your line. They like Jawan Taylor, the former Gator, who's a right tackle. He did not have a good year last year. Had a very good rookie year, played every snap. Last year was just okay. The tackles weren't great last year. The interior of the line, Norwell and Linder and A.J. Cann, they like the interior, Shane. The tackles weren't great last year, but they're also really young, high drafted, those second-round draft picks, high second-round draft picks. So I don't think you go and spend money. I think the money they're going to spend is in franchising Cam Robinson. So I don't think they're going to add. I'd be surprised if they add a tackle in free agency.
When you look at Trevor Lawrence, he's a generational type player. I don't even know who. I guess it's Gardner Minshew still on the roster, but don't you think the Jags need to go get an older guy who can kind of teach them the ropes? Any plans for that?
No one's talking about that. You would think, though, right? I hear you. You would think if Trevor's going to be your guy, you would think the backup would be a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick or Andy Dalton or someone who's been around the league. No one's talked about it, but I would guess that. I would think that. To your question, Gardner Minshew and Jake Luton are both on the roster. They're both here, but and maybe that'll be their backup plan. Urban said he spent some time with Gardner, not a lot of time, but I would, if it's me, yeah, I get Trevor Lawrence, and then I get a veteran guy. By the way, this guy Trevor Lawrence, we're watching a lot of tape on him, and I know you have too. Here's the deal. Back in the day, you had to be the 6'5" guy. They didn't draft you high, right? You had to be 6'5", stand in the pocket. You had to be Joe Flacco or all these big tall guys, right? Then all of a sudden the fast guys came along, and you could be Baker Mayfield or Kyler Murray, but if you were athletic and move a little bit, Russell Wilson's had success, Lamar Jackson. Say this guy's both. This guy runs like the RPO guys do. Yet he's 6'6" and is a big arms, accurate passer. I'm telling you, bro, there haven't been many guys like this guy come around. They really have.
Because I feel like he's the most NFL-ready guy I've ever seen come out of college. They said Peyton and Andrew Luck, which they were.
Right.
But he's those guys, but athletic and can move.
Because, see, when those guys came in, the game was different. You stayed in the pocket. The game was won. It was a 5 or 7 step drop league. This whole RPO thing, making the field horizontal, all this spread that they brought to the NFL. Now, the game's changed. It's truly a different sport now, and he fits all of it. He's going to be some player. He really is.
We got a Facebook Live here for you, Frank, from Don, and I was going to ask you this. A lot of talk when Timmy decided to hang up the baseball spikes. Everybody thought he was going to come to Jacksonville. Any chance that Urban, because what I said was I think it would be great for him to be on the roster because in the past, the fan base would be hollering Tebow, putting pressure, not pressure, but on the coaches to play him. Well, now the fan base knows that Tebow ain't the best quarterback on the roster, but he could be that guy that could come in and be a fullback at the quarterback position if you need. Any chance of that happening?
There's always a chance of anything. I would be surprised. I think Tim's in his 30s. He's got a wonderful career in life as a television guy and in his ministry, and he's trying to make a difference with stopping human trafficking. He's got a lot going on. They're very good friends. I would expect Urban might buy in the neighborhood where Tim has a house. I would think that their families would spend time together. I would expect that there will be a closeness between Urban Meyer and Tim Tebow always because they are very close. Urban's got great respect for him. I would not have even been surprised, Shane, if Urban did or does bring him in some sort of a leadership position because the guy's a great leader. He inspires people. People respond to him. So that wouldn't have surprised me. I would be, and I may be wrong. I don't know this, but I would be surprised if he's on the football team. I think Tim had a chance. I even had this conversation with his dad 100 years ago when people said, "What do you think about moving to fullback or tight end or whatever?" And his dad told me, he said, Frank, I think our feelings, our position on this is let's sure you be very good at it. I mean, you got to be. He was a great college quarterback, not a good college quarterback. He was a great college quarterback, one of the best ever played. Got drafted in the first round. Whether it worked out in the NFL or not, that's what happened. He said, I don't know if he'd be a great tight end. He might be just another guy playing tight end or playing fullback. So I could be wrong. It would not surprise me, Shane, if they brought him in a leadership position to inspire. But I'd be very surprised if he comes in as a football player. My guess is none of that's going to happen.
Yeah, so when you're saying a leadership position, it's going to have to be a part-time deal, in my opinion, because Tim's got so much stuff going on, like you mentioned, and he don't want to. People say, "Well, he needs to go coach." Tim ain't going to be a coach. People don't realize what coaching takes. Time, commitment is crazy. So if he can come in and be a motivational speaker every now and then and continue doing his TV and his ministry and all that, I think he would do that. But being a coach in some capacity, or I've had some people say he needs to be the strength coach. There's no way he does that.
Yeah, he in his world is bigger than that, and that's not to demean what coaches do. But his world is more far-reaching than that. I think he wants to affect more lives than that. And I'm with you. I'd be very surprised. And who knows? Who knows? But I'd be very surprised if he has a full-time position with the Jaguars. Well, no, we'll see.
Yep. Frank, last thing for you, and I know a lot of people are excited over there with the Jags. There's no question about it. I'm anxious to watch as well. TPC, big weekend over in Ponte Vedra in the Jacksonville area. I know you'll be out there today. Just talk about how big this – it's a major. It's the highest purse in all of golf. The best players in the world come to this event. What's it mean for the Jacksonville area?
It's the biggest thing here. It is the biggest week of the year. I used to say Florida, Georgia was the biggest week of the year. I think that's now second. I think this is the biggest year for our economy, and especially now, Shane. It was last year when the whole world shut down, and the whole world stopped last year during the second day of this tournament. We lost the economic impact. That thing, they give about $9 million a year to local charities. $9 million. Right? That's a lot of money now. And they impact the community. It's a feel-good week. The weather's fantastic out there. The best player. I agree with you. I think it's the most famous golf course in the world. It's the second famous most golf course in the world that has the same tournament every year. Only Augusta is more famous. And obviously people know 17. The beauty of the event is it's a unique event. You've been to the Players Plenty, right, Shane? I'm sure you've been over here a bunch. Okay. Here's the beauty of the event. Today in golf, in professional golf, it's all about length. They keep making courses longer. They keep making technology better. And the big hitters always win. Well, it doesn't play here. Length doesn't matter. Let me tell you what this course is. This is me and you playing, all right, Shane? And me making you play from 6,300 yards. You're all grumpy because you got to hit your 3-wood all day long, and you take your length out of play, and you play with some old guy like me that's in it right down the middle, and you're all ticked off. Well, that's what this is for these guys. They hit their driver. I'll bet you Dustin Johnson might hit his driver twice. Okay, DeChambeau won't hit his driver. Right. I don't think he'll hit his driver. So it's a different sport, and it's kind of target golf, and that makes it unique. And the players embrace it because it's kind of their event. It's a magnificent event. It's one of the fun weeks of the year, really. I can't wait to get out there. It's a blast every day they have this.
Yep. Dan says on Facebook Live, wow, the TPC's bigger than the world's largest outdoor cocktail party.
Yeah. I don't know that there's more drunk people, okay, but there's more people.
There's a lot of drunk people at TPC too.
Yeah, there are.
So do they still have the Monday after the tournament where you media boys go out and tee it up?
The media thing now, that's actually called the benefactor, and the media guys play, but it's really more of the sponsors. I've played in that. What they do for us, and we're very blessed, knock on wood, I'm knocking on wood here, is right before they shut it down, when they've got it in tour condition, they let us come play. And there's a handful of us that get so right before they close the course, they want us to come play. It's probably about 3 weeks out, 3.5. So then we can tell everybody how great it is and come watch the tournament. So it benefits you to have the media guys out before and tickets done. So we play right before. So yeah, we play right before. I hit it on before you asked. I hit it on in 3-putt at 17. Just so you know, last night in the media event, hit it on. They had the front pin, which is a Friday pin. And if it had been the Sunday pin, hey, Shane, I probably would have had a birdie. Okay, so hit it in the back. How do you play it out there? How good do you play out there? You play well out there?
I do.
You play well out there?
Some holes better than others, but it's I've always wanted to be able to play it the day after, just because of their conditions, the speed of the greens, things like. I just want to see. Okay, what will I shoot? I don't give a damn if I shoot 100.
Right.
I'd be like Kevin Na. He shot 81 yesterday, and he packed his bags up and left.
Right.
So I would love to be able to do that one day. Maybe I got to be a benefactor, I guess.
Yeah, you would. And I will tell you this, and you know this, you can't fathom how fast they are.
I know.
You think 13 or 14 at Gainesville Country Club is fast? And it isn't this kind of fast. Okay.
No, because it's a lot of undulation and slope and all that stuff. But yeah, it's a great event, as you said. It's wonderful, and we appreciate you, Frank Frangie, joining the program today. Enjoy the weather and the golf out there today, and be safe. And we'll talk to you soon, bud.
Okay, Shane. Thanks for having me on. Take care, man.
Yep, that's Frank Frangie. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow hotline. We're going to take our final time out. When we come back, we'll wrap up this Friday edition.
Hey Gators, this is Coach Steve Spurrier. Pot Up with Matthews in the morning. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Wrap Spot, Okito America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Darshakow Insurance. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security Systems on this Friday morning at Center State Bank. We put business first. We're the largest community bank in the state of Florida and understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. Center State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. Center State Bank, member FDIC. Cam Newton re-signs with the New England Patriots. Also want to congratulate Becky Burley. She wins her final home game as the Florida women's soccer coach. Good luck to the Gators today. I think we win today against Tennessee. Make sure you tune in this next week. Got a good lineup. We haven't promoted it yet, but we're going to have some good guests on next week. We'll also recap the TPC picks from everybody, and we'll give out a good prize for that as well. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Oh, hang on just 1 second. Don't forget, make sure you go to potupwithshane.com and sign up for the free giveaway on Chomp Harder hat and also for the G-Tech Clean Survival Kit. Make sure you go to potupwithshane.com and just fill out your name and stuff, and we'll draw your name out of the hopper. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Be safe out there, folks. Enjoy all the golf and the basketball this weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Take care.
1st and 10. Matthews, near side, wide open, Alonzo Sullivan. He may go. Touchdown, Gators.